Have you ever stopped for a second to wonder, what if gravity, the invisible force holding everything together, suddenly vanished? Imagine it. No more apples falling to the ground, no oceans, no mountains, and no weight at all. It sounds crazy, right? But stay tuned. By the end of this video, you'll understand just how disruptive and ultimately terrifying such a world would be. Let's start with a simple question. What is gravity? It's the silent superhero of our existence. Isaac Newton discovered it when an apple fell from a tree, or so the story goes, and it was later defined by Einstein as the curvature of space-time. Basically, it's an invisible force that pulls objects toward each other. On Earth, it's what keeps your feet firmly planted on the ground. Not only that, but it also orchestrates the cosmic dances of planets, moons, and stars. Think of it as the glue of the universe. Without gravity, everything literally falls apart. Now let's explore exactly what would happen if gravity disappeared overnight. Poof, gone. The first thing you'd notice is that you'd begin floating. That sounds fun, right? Wrong. Without gravity pulling you down, even walking or drinking water becomes an impossible mission. Every step would send you careening through space, bouncing off walls and ceilings. It's not just you who's affected, it's everything. Trees, cars, oceans, and even air wouldn't stay in place. Everything that isn't securely fastened would lose its sense of direction and begin drifting chaotically. Speaking of air, it's also held down by gravity, compressed into the Earth's atmosphere. Without gravity, our precious blanket of oxygen and other gases would dissipate into space. Quite literally, we wouldn't be able to breathe. The seconds following gravity's disappearance would be catastrophic for life on Earth. Imagine struggling for oxygen while everything around you starts to drift away. The oceans would rise in massive waves, then separate into floating water globules. These globules would evaporate as the lack of atmospheric pressure boils them away. In short, Earth as we know it would not survive. But wait, you might ask, what about buildings and structures that are firmly rooted into the ground? Think again. Without gravity, the stresses that keep buildings upright would be destabilized. Sure, skyscrapers might initially hold their ground, but without the force anchoring them, even the sturdiest structures would eventually crumble. Rockets would be useless without a planet strong enough to generate orbit, and the International Space Station would lose its balance, veering off into the infinite. Okay, that's bad enough. But brace yourselves. The problem doesn't just stay on Earth. Gravity is universal. If suddenly there were no gravity anywhere in the universe, galaxies would unravel like a giant celestial thread. Stars would no longer orbit, and black holes, the densest objects known, would cease to exist completely. Our solar system would disband as the sun could no longer hold the planets in orbit. Earth would likely fly off into the void, helpless and directionless, surviving only as a frozen rock floating aimlessly through space. Meaning, no seasons, no solar energy, and no possibility for life. A cosmic nightmare, if there ever was one. So how does this mind-melting concept tie into your daily life? Think about gravity as the unseen structure of everything you do. It's the reason an airplane can land safely, why your coffee stays in its mug, and why you can stay seated through a boring math exam. Small things like eating. Yes, eating would become a nightmare without gravity. Want to pour some milk on your cereal? Good luck. In a zero-gravity world, the milk would float away and your cereal would go with it. Even the simplest things like blinking and keeping your eyeballs in your skull require some help from gravity. Now you see why astronauts train so hard before heading into space. Earth is their practice ground for weightlessness, but that's only temporary. They return to a planet bound by gravity. If gravity ever permanently vanished, no amount of training could prepare humanity for the chaos. You're probably wondering, can anything survive a world with no gravity? The short answer is no, at least not in the way life currently exists. Think about plants. They grow by sending their roots down into the soil and stretching their leaves toward the sun. a direct response to gravitational pull. Without gravity, plants wouldn't know which way to grow. Photosynthesis, the process that keeps them, and us, alive, would collapse. Now, let's dive into an incredible hypothetical. What if humanity somehow adapted? Could we create artificial gravity? Believe it or not, science fiction may have some answers. Space stations and futuristic concepts often create gravity through centrifugal force. This works in small-scale environments like rotating habitats, but creating a gravity-like force strong enough to stabilize an entire planet? Well, that is way beyond current human technology, even imagination. Without gravity, humans would also undergo shocking physical changes. Spending extended time without gravity weakens our bones. Astronauts who spend months in space lose mass in their skeletal systems because they aren't bearing any load. Now imagine an entire generation born in a gravity-free world. They might develop lighter, weaker bones and muscles that look very different from how we evolve now. Humans could morph into an entirely new species, adapted to exist in chaos rather than stability. Yet surviving would still be next to impossible, as they would face other challenges like radiation exposure in a gravityless, atmosphereless planet. By now, you might be wondering, could gravity ever go away? The simple answer is no, not naturally anyway. Gravity is a fundamental force of the universe, inseparable from existence itself. Unless some kind of unimaginable cosmic event were to occur, one that changes the very laws of physics, gravity is here to stay. And thank goodness for that. The mere thought of its absence reveals just how vital it is to life as we know it. So why does this matter? Understanding gravity opens a window into understanding the universe. Gravitational waves, discovered as ripples in space-time, have helped us study catastrophic cosmic events, such as black hole mergers. Without gravity, we lose one of our most powerful tools to observe the cosmos. Losing gravity wouldn't just mean the end of the world. It would mark the end of our very ability to learn, to understand, and to thrive in this infinite universe. Pretty heavy stuff, no pun intended. And yet, thinking through these impossible scenarios acts as a reminder of just how beautiful and intricate our world is. Gravity, a force we can't see or feel directly, is the silent maestro to nature's symphony. If this invisible player were ever removed, the descent, or rather the upward spiraling chaos, would be catastrophic. So what do you think? Does gravity seem cooler now that you understand what life would be like without it? Are there other forces of nature or science mysteries you'd like us to explore? Let us know in the comments below. And hey, don't float away just yet. Subscribe for more electrifying explorations and hypothetical adventures. In the meantime, take a deep breath, while you still can. Gravity has your back, literally, figuratively, and scientifically. Stay curious, and we'll see you in the next episode of What If Facts.